William Channing Woodbridge was one of the most vocal supporters of music education. But he never studied music. So why did he care so much? William Channing Woodbridge was a native of Connecticut. He went to both Yale and Princeton, studying such subjects as anatomy, chemistry, philosophy, and theology. He spent a few years working at the American Asylum for the Deaf and Dumb, but was better known for his contributions to geography. His poor health resulted in 3 trips to Europe, the second of which we will discuss here. It was during this trip where his philosophy of music education came into being. He spent significant time with several music teachers, such as Johann Pestalozzi and Emanuel Fellenberg. He returned several times specifically to visit Fellenberg in Switzerland, taking his ideas on education to heart. Performance was emphasized by Fellenberg, and Woodbridge never forgot about the music he heard there.
But we were touched to the heart, and when we heard its cheering, animating strains echoing from the walls of a schoolroom and enlivening the schoolboys' hours of play, when we listened to the peasant children's songs as they went out of their morning occupation, and saw their hearts enkindled to the highest tones of music and poetry by the setting sun or by the familiar objects of nature, each of which was made to echo some truth or point to some duty, by an appropriate song.
After his second trip to Europe, Woodbridge settled in Boston during the Common School movement. According to Dr. Estelle Jorgensen, music education professor from Indiana University, this movement focused on the improvement of common schools, the development of free public schools, the improvement of teacher preparation and quality, the improvement of school curricula, the establishment of an improved financial base for schools, among other issues. Education in Boston was considered to be particularly progressive. Fuel for the fire was being added from many sides. A religious movement inspired a renewed interest in church music. The American Singing School movement led to the formation of musical societies. Choirs were more prestigious, which meant musical training was now taken more seriously. Performance venues were built in Boston, and musicians were encouraged to live there. While in Boston, Woodbridge was able to influence the community in 2 ways. The first was his position as editor for the American Annals of Education and Instruction, which he acquired upon his second return from Europe. Through this journal, he was able to express his opinions on the education profession, much of which echoed the views of Fellenberg. But then his time to strike finally came. Woodbridge further articulated his ideas by speaking to the public. He gave his best-known lecture on vocal music as a branch of common education in Representatives Hall to local teachers, administrators, and educational supporters. In this lecture, he expressed reasons why music was needed in the public schools. Number 1, everyone can learn music. And number 2, again echoing Fellenberg, learning music in a group setting promotes moral development, not just musical development. Not forgetting what he witnessed in Switzerland, he asked Lowell Mason, one of Boston's well-known music teachers and church musicians, to assist him by having a small boys' choir perform as a demonstration. Samuel A. Eliot remarked on this demonstration.
Never shall we forget the mingled emotions of wonder, delight, vanquished incredulity, and pleasant hope, with which the juvenile concerts were attended. The coldest heart was touched, and glistening eyes and quivering lips attested the depth and strength of the feelings excited in the bosoms of parents and teachers, while the happy little pupils themselves seemed to have acquired a new sense, as they certainly had gained a new source of enjoyment.
Unfortunately, he wasn't satisfied with the public's response to his ideas, so Woodbridge continued publishing his ideas in the American Annals of Education and Instruction. In one instance, he wrote,
"We have waited, in the hope that something should appear from those more competent to treat this subject. But we are disappointed, and the misapprehensions which have been entertained by some concerning the views of those engaged in this cause call for an immediate and full account of our opinions and reasons, although we shall be compelled to repeat much of what we have previously said on the subject."
While he might not have been happy with the response, and while the lecture itself didn't ruffle too many feathers, it was what was needed in order to get everything started, the push to get things rolling in the right direction. The change in schools movement had already begun when Woodbridge arrived in Boston, so the formation of the Boston Music Academy in 1833 may be a result of the work of society as a whole. But Eliot, who later served as president for the Academy, remarked that it was principally due to the efforts of Woodbridge that the Boston Academy of Music was established.